Funniest thing today, you guys, when my assistant told me I had this talk today, she said it was on the moon, and I was like, on the moon? And then I was like, are you kidding? Get it? Today our talk is about the moon, but I'm not on the moon. Are you on the moon, Carrie?
Nope, I'm here on Earth.
How do you know?
I guess I don't.
Look around, you guys. We are definitely not on the moon, but we're going to talk about the moon today. So it's almost Turkey Day. I want to first acknowledge gratitude. Let's start with gratitude. I am feeling very, very blessed. I just finished, some of you may have seen on Facebook the pictures. I just finished being with Kenny Ray, who is the man that I got out of prison. It'll be 10 years in August. 10 years ago in August. It kind of scares me when I start thinking about time. 10 years ago. I don't know. I don't know. Does that make you guys kind of nuts when you think about time? Like 10 years. I was 50 when we got him out of prison. I can't remember this story as far as time. Anyways, so today's about the moon, and my moon is very full. My heart's very full because I spent the last 4 days in LA, the next 5 days with my boys, and we've been celebrating Turkey Day because we don't eat turkey. I'm very thankful that you eat turkey because there's a lot of turkeys that need to get sold because there's a lot of turkeys that are getting killed. Um, I wish we had a cartoon right now and a turkey just went by running. I am very thankful to be here. We're going to talk today about the moon. It's one of my very favorite topics. In esoteric law, Alice Bailey says the moon isn't really a planet. I find that so interesting that it's kind of, for her, it's kind of been erased. But in the name of psychology and astrology and the work that we do, the moon is very important because the moon rules water on the earth and the tides and the up and going of the moods. And so when there's a full moon and when there's a new moon, when was the new moon? It was just Friday. The double Scorpio moon was Saturday. We can feel the energy's gotten softer now, and we're starting to go into a waxing moon where it's coming fuller, and then it will be full in 2 weeks. And so the moon moves in rhythms. And I can feel it. I don't know about you guys, but I can feel when the new moon is here and it quiets. And then the new moon starts to grow, and the energy increases and the voltage increases. And this is the nature of cycles. And this is what astrology is all about 101. So if you think about your life goes in moods, it goes in rhythms. And there's a system in the Vedic system where they track these very large cycles. They're called Vedic, or they're called dashas, and they go through different cycles, and they can tell in an era of your life. Like when I think back 10 years ago to when Kenny got out of prison, and any of you that don't know that story, it's in my book, The Missing Element. It's the air chapter. This man spent 27 years in San Quentin, and I met him as a pen pal. I was his pen pal. And then he had been in prison for the wrong reason. The sentencing was totally inaccurate. He was given a life sentence for something that should have been about 2 years, if that, because he really was on drugs and needed rehabilitation. Well, he did get rehabilitated and did do the 12 steps, and spent a lot of time with Narcotics Anonymous and a lot of time with Attitude for Gratitude. And he learned a lot in prison. And I became friends with him about 13. So we were figuring it out, it's been like 25 years since we've been friends. It's so crazy, 23 years. So Kenny got out of prison, and the story goes that he ends up in my book doing the conversation about air. But it's funny we're talking about him because he doesn't have any water in his chart. And as he said, Deb, you can't get no cry on here in prison. No one's crying. The moon is all about tears. So it talks about emotional body. And Kenny, clearly living in prison for 27 years, had to shut it down. But the moods and the rhythms of us women that are watching this, we are moody and we do cry and we do have a lot of emotion. And what made Kenny stand out was his ability to shut down his moon, his emotions. He has it in Capricorn, and let it sit so he could handle the stress that was in prison. But for some of you out there, your moon, which you're just going to write this down, the moon is your emotional body. I think of it as your temperament. I like to think of it as your temperature. Like, what's your internal temperature? If the moon is in a downward spiral and you're feeling depressed, it's heavy. If the moon is elated, you just fell in love, it's feeling light. And it goes through rhythms and you can track it. And I want to encourage you, for any of you that know about the star community, It's a website that we have now. You can go for $22 a month. You can track the moon cycles every other day. You can track the big picture of what's going on for this month, when the full moon is, when the new moon is, when the retrograde is, which is, by the way, December 1st coming around the corner, or 2nd. The cycles are directly related to the moon. So all of you out there who are moody, or you feel sad for no reason, or you feel like you long and you feel so like you don't have the life you wanted, your emotional body is just so sad, or you get super excited for no reason. So let's go through that in a moment, we will. But this webinar, or better known as this Facebook Live today, is about the moon, and specifically my moon is very fulfilled because the moon rules children. It rules family. It's the feminine organs. The moon rules the breasts, and the cycles rule your menstrual cycle. So there's a very strong influence of the moon being related to the feminine principle. And therefore, we are the sensitives in the gender. Although some men have stronger moons than some women. So it's not really gender. It's more the classical languaging is that the feminine principle is related to the moon. And she has this great respect for bleeding, for going inside, for listening, for dreaming. The feminine side of us is the part that cries and feels so much compassion for the kids and for the animals, and particularly loves her kids. I'm full of loving my kids. The moon is essentially the fastest moving planet in the heavens. And that's what happens to your mood. Like, I read this wonderful book called In Search of the Miraculous. Any of you know that book? It's by Ospensky. It's an old book. And the guy was trained by Gurdjieff. It was the same time Alice Bailey was writing. There were a series of esoteric teachers. One of them was Gurdjieff. And I loved that book, In Search of the Miraculous. I can't believe I read it. I was probably about 20, or no, I was in graduate school. I was probably about 21 or 22. Anyways, the book is about lots of metaphysical ideas and very advanced. And there's this one chapter I'll never forget where Ospensky wrote the book about his teacher, Gurdjieff. So Ospensky was sitting at a table and he was in a mood, and he was a moody guy. He had a strong moon. That's how you can tell somebody who's a moony person. And he was getting depressed, and the teacher suddenly changed the topic to what he called reoccurrence, which is past lives. And as soon as the teacher started talking about past lives, Gurdjieff came to life, or Ospensky came to life. He was super animated. And they had this great conversation about his past lives and about what he thought his karma was, and a very deep, fascinating conversation. And then just before they were done, Gurdjieff looked over at Ospensky and said, "Look at you. You were in such a bad mood. And all I had to do was change the topic, and now you're all interested and you're all awake. Aren't you the moodiest guy?" And I remember thinking, wow, it just takes a shift of, like, I'm watching my sons together. They're both here. I have a stepson and a son, and they're hanging out for the first time in a long time together. And they're both slightly low emotional, or I should say very sensitive emotional bodies. One has moon in Pisces and one has a grand trine in water. So they're both prone, as you're going to discover in a moment, to the emotional body of water, which makes you heavy. Think of water. It's heavy, it's dense, it stays with you. It's hard to dry. You can't get it to dry until it's dry. It's just the way water is, different than air, which changes its mind. Water has to wait. So when they're together, though, their mood immediately changes. They're like laughing and they're fun, and it's like 1 + 1 = 3,000. So the moon is influenced, according to Ospensky and Gurdjieff, to the mood or the conversation at hand. And you can change your mood with one simple thought. Just the other day, I was with these friends of ours, Kenny and his family, and we were talking about, God, it was so heavy. We were talking about about what happened in Las Vegas. We went into detail because we knew someone that had been shot. And then we were talking about what happened in prison. And before, I just looked at them and I said, look at the mood. Hello, observer on, click. Notice what just happened in the room. We have to pay attention to the nature of our conversation because the moon longs to talk about their feelings. Like if you're a very watery, emotional person, or anyways, just a very strong moon, what does that mean? If your moon is strongly aspected. So for example, if your moon has lots of trines to it, or it has Pluto on it, or it's on the ascendant, and these are all terms that you'll learn in my astrology school at a beginner level. Any strong influenced moon makes somebody have to talk about their emotional body. So when you do that and the emotional body's been dunked into sadness, concern, worry, vulnerability, it's like your whole system shuts down. The moon is the single most influential ingredient besides Mercury. The two of them always are, they both are the two fastest moving planets. Mercury and the moon are traveling together all the time. These two influences, specifically the moon, determine the day, like today. So how did you wake up today? You know, when I woke up and saw my two boys' faces, they're 60, they're in their 20s and 30s. They don't see me very often. I was like, oh my God, it's Christmas. Oh my God, it's Christmas. I don't even care what we do. I said, this is what it feels like when you die and go to heaven. You're with your favorite people. So my mood was positive. I want to hear about yours. Carrie, tell me what it right on Facebook Live. Can you see their comments? What was the mood you guys woke up with today? Because today the moon is in Capricorn. It's in a very solid place. I'm curious.
I will tell you, it takes a little while for everybody to hear it, but we do have quite a few people who have moon in Capricorn in this live group, so they may be feeling it extra.
Yes, if the moon's in its natural placement where it was when you were born, it's a very comfortable placement because you're so familiar with that energy.
Lily says that her mood was horrible when she woke up today. Yeah. Ashley said pretty good and happy.
See, it's so moody. It's so moony. There's so many variations. There is definitely keep going. Ashley said it was fun.
Steph and Alyssa both say they have moon in Capricorn, but not how it affected them today. Karen says she was determined to start healing from a recent car accident.
See, Capricorn brings determination and commitment to doing so. So that's the mood. So that's great, Karen. I'm going to pray for your accident body to get healed. And we're going to send our Facebook Live energy to Karen.
Andrea said she was sentimental. Johanna said sad. Adele said very comfortable this morning, and she has moon in Capricorn.
It's so trippy. I don't like mornings. I find it startling when I wake up and I'm alone and I'm like, this is a planet I'm on and my name is Debra and I'm still here with me and we're not going anywhere. And where's my kids and where's my best friend and where's my lover and where's my dog? That first impulse I just read this amazing book on the airplane. And one of the things it said that fascinated me was that everything in this planet is controlled by desire. Like that's what the Buddha said. Desire is the single factor that ruins everything. Attachment is desire. And they said there's two kinds of desire. One is the desire to go back to the one and to be in the spiritual realm. And the other is the desire to individuate and find independence and self-sufficiency and singularity. So some people wake up and the first thing they think about is what they have to do to pay their money, what they have to do to take care of their kids. Like they're in an impulsive structural desire. That's the moon being the desire body to attach. And some people's first desire when they wake up is to go spiritual, and they're so awkwardly here. They're like, oh my God, how did I get back in a body? And their desire is to want to transcend. So you're either coming into a body, landing on planet Earth, wanting to be here, playing the game. The desire is to be successful, or you're secretly wishing you could get out of here and you don't really like it here and you want to get into the other place. And there's two different camps. And that moon determines, some people wake up with an excitement in the morning, like, oh my God, it's another day and I'm so happy. Whatever the story is, they're happy. It's so crazy, those people. I love them. And some people wake up first thing in the morning, they're like, uh-oh, I'm scared. I can't remember my name. Where was I doing? What was I coming for? Why am I here again? Oh, that's right. What was my job? Shoot, forgot to read the fine print. Yeah, I'd love to do a vote right now. How many are which? So the moon is the determining factor of that impulsive first emotion that you wake up with in the morning. The moon determines the level of your energy. So if your moon's in, we're going to go through the four elements, water, air, earth, or fire, I can tell. The moon also describes seasons and cycles that you're in, because there's something called the progressed moon. So we can, as astrologers, we can look and see for 2.5 years, you go through a whole flavor. And it depends on the progressed moon, which you only learn in level 2. So I'm a little advanced there, but I'm teasing you to come learn astrology and find out, because that one is ridiculously accurate. Like, it's so spooky, it kind of flips me out, to tell you the truth. And then there's the cycles and the seasons. Someone just asked about the seasons. The moon does, I mean, everything goes in seasons. And the seasons are not according to the elements. The seasons in your life go like this. you could say that you could use the elements. The beginning of your life is water. From 0 to, let's say, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, you're in this emotional vulnerability where you're totally dependent on another person, and you hold on for dear life to your parents and to what your family provides, and everything is about security. Then you go into an air cycle, somewhere I'm going to say about 10, I'm going to say like 12. From 12 to probably about 22, you go into the cycle where your mind wants to learn in school and your name and your individuality and how to be unique and how to dress and what your taste buds are. And you spend that whole era of your life from 12 to say 21, really committed to defining yourself with words and names and identity and taste. And then from 21 to say, God, I want to say to 50, you're in an earth cycle where you're all about production and money and security and kids and family and playing house and manifesting or womanfesting. And then from say about 50, maybe even 60 on, you're in the fire cycle where it's like, oh boy, we get to have fun now. We don't care what anyone thinks anymore. We get to travel. We get the kids to go take care of themselves, and that's the freedom. So the cycles do follow the life's path. It's not specific to your moon, but it's specific to the era of the cycle. So that was for Gila. The cycles according to the elements. Water is the first half of your life till very early, 9 months. It's not very much time. Water is the one element that we get least of, except at the end of your life, if you don't do fire, if you don't enjoy eldership and retirement, you go into water and you get really grumpy and you get really sick and you're in an old folks home and you're quiet and you've lost everything, and we don't want that story. So let's go back to the moon. Here's the moon in the 4 elements. I'm going to give this to you, so grab a pen. First, you want to know where your moon is. For you beginners who have never done astrology before, you can go on astro.com. On the top corner, it says free horoscopes. When you click on that, when you just go right below, the very first option says chart drawing. Click on that, and they'll ask for your birth date, time, and place. You don't really need your exact time for where your moon is, but it matters. You don't have to have it. You put in your birth date, time, and place, click, and up comes your chart. You're going to look in the little box where it's English. It's a blue ink, and you'll see moon, and then you'll see in English what sign it is. As soon as you know what sign it is, say your moon is in Aries, you'll Google what element is Aries, and it will come up with fire. Or what element is Taurus? It'll come up as earth. What element is Gemini? It'll come up as air. What element is Cancer? Water. And you find out what element. So first things first, as a beginner, and even as an advanced student, your moon's placement in the element is going to tell us volumes. So if your moon's in water, and water are tears, water is the element of concern and compassion and mothering. It rules. The moon loves being in water. It's because it's emotions. Moody, emotion, water, moon. If your moon's in a water sign, you tend to be reclusive and quiet and super sensitive. That's so funny. One of my sons, we were sleeping in this beautiful spot on a lanai, and he was like, I kept waking up worried that I was going to wake somebody up. His moon's in water. I was like, can you calm your emotional body down? We're all sound asleep and you're worried? That's moon in water. It's like their sensitivity to everybody else's sensitivity is so overhyped that they make up stories and they don't even know what reality is. We were all sound asleep. Moon in an air sign. I have to talk about my emotions, and then I got to talk about talking about my emotions. I'm going to study astrology, and I wish you would talk slower so I could write it all down, but I want to read about emotions. Moon in air, they've got to talk about their feelings. And they can't make easy decisions because the moon in air is like, I don't know, what do you think? The moon, your emotional body, is an intellectual exercise. That's not the right combination. The moon is water. The moon rules the body. Your instinct in the physical body, your intuition. Moon and air is in your head. You don't want your emotions in your head. So that would be Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra. That's air. And the water one is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Okay, then we have moon in earth. These people get emotionally upset and they have to take care of things. All you moon and Capricorn people, on time for the Facebook Live, taking notes, remembering what I said, taking the class, saving the money to take the class, going on the star community and looking up what does it mean today, the moon's in Capricorn. Practical. That's an emotional body that's super practical. And these are people that really have to process their emotions in a very organized fashion. If it's moon in Capricorn, forget it. They don't even want to deal with their emotions. If it's moon in Virgo, they're going to pick at you. If it's moon in Taurus, it's like, everybody calm down. Don't push me. And then if you have moon in fire like me, you get so excited. Oh my God. Every day. Moon in fire, your emotional body's quick. It's temperamental. It's expressive. It's instinctual. It's honest. It's straight up. It's enthusiastic. I get excited over nothing. Even though I'm excited over Turkey Day with no turkey. And then you take your moon, if it's in fire, and you go, I have got to move energy. That's what my son said yesterday in the plane. He said, I've realized if I don't move energy every day, I'm a wreck. Moon in fire. Does that make sense, you guys? Moon in water, you feel your feelings. You've got to express them and not be secretive. Moon in air, you've got to talk and feel unapologetic about it. Moon in earth, you've got to get reasonable and practical, and you've got to pay attention to your emotions. And moon in fire, you are so excited. What? Okay, someone just scared me in the middle of a talk. Okay, don't get distracted, Debra.
Lots of people chatting in, talking about where their moon is. Laura, who I know has taken your applied astrology class before, said, how do you best blend your natal with your progressed moon?
Great question. So for you that don't know what a progressed moon is, I'm sorry, you have to call. You know, you guys can go get readings. I'm booked out for months, but I have these crazy good certified astrologers. Every single one, you can't go wrong. You just use your intuition. You go on my website, debrasilvermanastrology.com. And it says work with me. You click on work with me. There's a certified astrology button. You push it, and they're so much more reasonable, and they're so good. And then you find out where your progressed moon is. So the progressed moon and your natal moon is not so important. Who was her name that wanted to know?
Laura.
Laura, I thought so. Laura, it's more about your progressed moon's relationship to what house it's in and how it's related to all your other planets. So the moon isolated, the progressed moon isolated, it's not so much about how it relates to because your moon, your natal chart stays the same throughout your whole life. You know this, right? It doesn't change. The progressed moon is just the flavors. It's like the wind changes. I like to think of it like you put sunglasses on and the world has a different tint. That's what the progressed moon is. Everything stays the same. You're still the same, but the world has a different color you're looking through, and that's the progressed moon. When it gets aspected, sure, you can talk about it, but I don't think the aspect is what you're really asking me about. What you're asking me about is the progressed moon's relationship to your natal chart, which is the one that never changes for the rest of your life.
Love that. And can you talk a little bit about how when you do the YouTube videos, you go with the moon cycle and how it moves and how you determine?
Yeah, I love those videos. Yes. So do you guys know that on my Facebook page, every other day you see a new video come up where I tell you where the moon is? Like today, the moon's in Capricorn, and I can so feel it. The moon stays in one sign for 2.5 days. So every 2 days, a little more than that, it changes sign. Every 2 days, it changes sign. And when it changes, I can feel it. It's such a strange feeling. It's the moon is affecting the water on the planet. You are all water. I live in Hawaii. It's all water. So the waves get influenced by the moon, and you get influenced by the moon. So if you pay attention every other day to when the moon shifts, you can start organizing. Like today's a great day to organize for Thanksgiving. It couldn't be a better day to organize for Thanksgiving, Tuesday and Wednesday. The moon's in Capricorn. And Capricorn's earth. And earth is practical. So when the moon's in an earth sign, kerplunk. You just learn that. It's kind of simple. So pay attention, kids.
Awesome. Well, no other questions coming in, but I'll make a plug here for Applied Astrology. You learn a ton about your moon and your entire chart in the program. And I'm going to put a link in the comments right now. And everybody's just commenting, saying, love your videos, great explanation, how much they feel. So thank you for sharing about the moon today.
I'm in love with the moon. If I had to say one thing as a closer, the moon is compassion. The moon is how you let your heart be open. So if your moon has, and the moon, by the way, rules memories. It's the nostalgic person that keeps things in drawers. Moon rules Cancer, and Cancer saves everything. So it's the part of us that has an attachment to keeping things in order that came from our past. Like not even in order, it's kind of a mess, but it's like wanting to like save the sentimental feeling that your mother's mother gave to her, and now it reminds you of history and down memory lane, and the next thing you know, you got a lot of stuff stuck in your drawer. Someone with a strong moon has a lot of stuff stuck in their drawers. They can't open the drawers. They're clutter bugs. They're what's that called? Those people that can't throw things away.
Hoarders.
Hoarders. The moon rules hoarders. How do you like that? And it has to do with the emotional attachment to sticking things to yourself. So if there's a word of wisdom for the moon, it's that the healthiest people I know are people that, and I'm not good at this, that know how to forgive. They just let their emotional body go. Now you can't do it without recycling and processing your moon. So you can't just like let it go and pretend it didn't happen. You have to go revisit it and work it out. But the moon is really essential for emotional wisdom, which involves the ability to be present time in every relationship. So when you sit down at that Thanksgiving table and you look around and you go, you know, that person just bugs me. I remember when they did that thing to me. You're going to say to yourself, note to self, turn on the observer. This is what my book is about, the missing element. Turn on the observer and you go, that was not the nicest thing that happened back then. And I need to let it go in order to be present time with them. And either I'm going to say to them, you know what? I just want to say something out loud. I still feel unfinished about that thing way back when. Can we clear it? Or don't say a thing and just pay attention to your wall. Because the moon in its natural fashion, the reason why children rules the moon from 0 to 7 is they're so open. They love everyone. They attach. It's kind of like barnacles. The moon is barnacles. It just attaches everything. It sticks itself to you, the moon. It's the mothering bond to the child who poops, burps, and farts, throws up on you, and you're so attached to that, then you think it's the cutest thing you ever saw. The moon is just in love. But if you can't do that love thing, that moon, emotional, open-hearted moon, it means that somehow you've gotten caught in time and you've got a history or a memory that's stuck. And it's always good to update. And I'm not good at that. Depends on how your moon's aspected. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah, I think if you think back to your ex-boyfriends, you're like, I like to think back to my exes and do everything I can to clear my emotional body so I'm not holding. It's taken me a long time because I don't want to die with karma with that ex because my emotional body was sticky and then I have to go meet them again and do the whole thing over. No. So let during Thanksgiving at the table with your family, just look around and say, who have I unfinished business with? Not that you're going to clear it at the Thanksgiving table, but it's a really good question. Emotional body clear, check. Emotional body forgiveness, check. Emotional body attachment, check. Emotional body historian, check. Emotional body open, check. Like, is your emotional body open? Ask yourself right now, when you go through your day today, because the moon's in Capricorn, it's not the best open spot. But for some of you it will be. But you can ask, it's a good time to ask this question. Is my emotional body available? Like when I meet somebody, this happened yesterday in the airplane. I think the man didn't like us. But I made eye contact and I thought to myself while I was looking at him, it's okay. That was my emotional body trying to impact somebody kindly. Emotional body open. That's what happens when people drink. Oh, I love you. I'm so happy. I just love you. That's the emotional body. That's water. That's too much fire water, but that's when the emotional body bleeds. That's extreme. But is your emotional body open? Ask yourself that, you guys. I'd love to hear your answer. Are you available to feel good feelings or bad feelings? Are you willing to be in love? You know how you meet somebody, sometimes like your ex-lover comes into the space or your ex-brother-in-law that you hadn't seen in years and you feel so cold And then you look over and you go, wow, at some point you were my brother-in-law and I adored you. And now the door's shut and I hate you. But it's up to me to say, is there karma here? Can I keep my emotional body fluid? And then you just go over and say hi. The most evolved beings know how to forgive. Welcome to the Dalai Lama. Double Cancer, double moon. That's the story I wanted to tell you before we finished. Compassion is the doorway to keep your heart open and keep your moon fluid. And that's going to keep you in relationships. And that's going to keep you with your family healthy. And it's going to make the best turkey dinner. Okay, Carrie, I think we did it.